I remember he had stopped at the house while I wasn't home. When he was going out of the neighborhood, he saw my truck coming up on there, so then he followed me back to the house there, and I thought, what did I do? What's going on here?
What was going on was this man, Doug Perry, was determined to buy John's 1967 Yenko Camaro, no matter how long it took.
I love to enjoy and collect first-generation Camaros.
Not exactly. Doug Perry has the fever, especially for Yenko Camaros. This is Doug's 69 Yenko Camaro, which paled in comparison to what Doug had just found. Parked in this garage since 1973 in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. An automotive treasure straight out of the 1960s. So historically significant. I would rank it as one of the top 10 muscle cars ever found. Not just because it's a real 1967 Yenko Camaro. YS60 is probably the last unshackled American muscle car released to the public. 427 powered, last year, no smog pump. With 7,257 original miles, Doug remained patient, but he had to have this car. But the original owner would not sell, and he would not restore. Why? John Weaver bought the car in 1968 in March when he was just 19. Doug would have never found the car except for this man, Frank Arone, who owns a restoration shop in Homer City, Pennsylvania, just 30 miles from John Weaver's house.
In half a mile, turn left onto West Elm Street.
I'm Jerry.
Jerry Francarone.
Oh, glad to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So this is the shop.
Yeah, this is part of it.
Frank gave Doug Perry the lead on this 1967 Yenko Camaro way back in 2009. If Doug bought the Yenko Camaro, Frank would get the restoration job. So,
And he says, I come to buy your car. They're not for sale. And it was, 3 or 4 years till I even let you see it?
Nah, it's probably 4 or 5 years.
and with good reason.
I just didn't like the condition it was in. I didn't think it was ready to be shown to anybody. I was just embarrassed because it was covered up with a bunch of stuff. I had boxes on it, and I
had to warm up to him.
Yeah.
John and Doug became good friends. Doug finally had access to see the Yenko, and the more he saw, the more he wanted to buy and restore. But not for sale means not for sale. So why was this Camaro disassembled and red instead of the factory Nantucket blue? John really wanted red, so within that first year, in the winter, he painted the car red. Regretted that decision almost immediately. When he finally parked the car for good, he wanted to repaint it back blue. Just never got it back together again. Now, the silver lining has been parked in a heated garage 45 years, so the body's 100% rust-free. Good news is, he kept all the parts. And being original, notice his trim has the holes that Yenko drilled to mount these Stewart water gauges. Look at all that paperwork, the holy grail, fully documenting the build, the options, accessories. Here's 2 pages of the car as delivered from Chevrolet. Any question about this Yenko build, the paperwork will show. Look where it says Install Hood, 1968 SS 396. Here's that plenum air intake, $89.70. The air plenum intake was delivered in the trunk and not installed by the dealer. Remove SS 396 emblems, as seen on this stock 67 Camaro. Yenko swapped out the 396 for a 390 horse 427 Corvette motor, denoted by this 351 block casting. That 427 reused the intake carbon accessories from the Camaro's 396. $5,242.08. Had to be the highest priced Yenko ever sold, as much as a new Cadillac in '67, although maybe not this Eldorado. John even kept the original registration, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, 4668. This letter from Ron Lane, the salesman that sold him the car at Yenko. Oh, and the envelope the letter was sent in, delivered in April of '68. John Weaver kept his original Protecto plate. The factory Rally Sport SS grill The factory simulated wood steering wheel. The seats are stunning. So I asked John,
did you like that red, this red interior when you
Oh, yes, yes.
just about anybody would, but what John said next,
Didn't realize what a unique combination this was and how beautiful it really is together.
John even kept this plastic owner's manual packet. 7 is for 1967 and 60 is for the 60th Yenko built. YS is for Yenko supercar.
Another hot day in June 2018.
Finally, a deal. Doug won out. John was selling Doug his Yenko Camaro. But why? What happened? June of 2018, 9 years into this, that's how long it took for John to finally give in and sell Doug the car. The deal was done. The troops arrived to pick up the pieces, like this clock, a Stuart Warner tack, on top of more stuff in this box. Last day of ownership, John recalled the last drive.
1973. I'd sold the house in Latrobe there, and I was moving to Greensburg. That was the last time. Well, on the trip up to Greensburg, I was street racing a Chevelle there, and I blew the transmission. So it set many years, and until I had the transmission rebuilt, it was never started after that.
Doug trailers the car back to his shop in Ohio.
427.
Probably in shock, he finally has the last 67 Camaro converted by Yenko to 427 power. Now that hood on it at the time is just an extra Cal induction hood, not the original.
The car didn't have a hood on it when it was sitting back in the lot there, and I liked these louvers better than the 67, so I asked him to put the 68 hood on there.
Notice these holes drilled in the original fender for these badges, seen here after the restoration, which I did a full photo shoot for a 4-page feature in Hot Rod Magazine.
Hey, I'm loose. I'm loose on the straps.
More cool badges. You got SS, 427, and Yenko. All stock, the way it came. That Nantucket blue paint should sure pop out of this fall foliage background. So, rust-free, complete, but disassembled. Needs restored. Next stop, Homer City. Sounds like Greek mythology. John struggled the Iliad, and Doug's the Odyssey. Frank owns and restores muscle cars. Wow, that bumper car, I like that. What do you take for that? Let's pretend we're on that show on TV. What is it called? Don't mention it. Frank just purchased a 1969 Z28 with 19,000 miles. People call him about muscle cars.
We took some great pains to get the red paint off, just to, verify the color, but it's original sheet metal.
X77 for Z28.
The car looks like a mess, but it's really a good car. It's a good project. It's a good, solid car.
Doug had the Yenko Camaro at the right place. Frank owned probably a couple dozen muscle cars, including multiple Z28s, before he even opened this restoration shop. Frank has a passion for muscle cars. With early Z28s, he doesn't have to spend time researching how to restore. He's been there, done that. Never pay a restorer to research how-to stuff. That'd be like hiring an attorney and then paying for his education so he could learn how to handle your case. I actually did that one time. So, when the shop owner collects, look at Frank's 1970 Z28. He wins trophies with this at shows. That's a good sign. He'll do a good job. Same thing with a paint booth.
There's Frank doing his work.
Here's Frank spraying the 67 Yenko Camaro.
First coat of Nantucket blue.
Look who drove over that day to watch the car get painted. Yep, the original owner, John Weaver. And I'll bet you what he was thinking was what he told me later.
If I had it to do over again, I never would have repainted it.
Yeah. John lived just 30 miles away. Why did John hang on to this car for so long, and why did he finally sell?
I just came to the realization there that I wanted to see the car restored, and I just didn't have the resources or the time to do it. It took a lot to convince me to sell it to Doug, but that was the last big thing that Dad did for me there. He loaned me the money to buy that car. He passed away 5 years later, and I know I had made payments on it for 2 years, and then he told me that's paid in full. I just felt it was my duty to keep it, and it took a lot to convince me to sell it to Doug, but I think Doug probably likes that car as much as I do. And I don't know that I could have sold it to anybody else.
I flew in October 24th. The car was done. Time to take pictures. Doug would be here, so would John Weaver. The Yenko was restored and Doug was going all out. Yep, returned to Keystone Raceway Park. Great place for the unveiling, where John first raced the car in '68.
John, what's it feel like to be back here? I mean,
Unbelievable. I can't believe that car is back together.
John had not yet seen the car restored.
Hey, 14 months ago, we were pushing this the same way onto the trailer.
And he was waiting to watch him roll it out of the trailer and into the staging lanes.
Basically my dream to see this thing back together, and I never thought I was going to be able to.
The old drag strip had to be a blast from the past, too.
These grandstands weren't here. That little building there where the souvenirs are, the return road was there.
Yeah, why couldn't this been a small buck though?
aluminum heads on it or something.
John had to have all these options.
Make noises, Frank.
I wondered what this baby would run off the showroom floor with its Yenko tune. Who better to ask than John, who took this Camaro straight to the strip when it was brand new. And it's a super sport with the Rally Sport hideaway lights. Got your G70 by 15 Firestone Super Sports wide oval tires mounted on rally wheels. Drop that turbo hydromatic into drive and floor it. Man, just let her rip.
With the exhaust connected up there, it was a low 13 car, 1320s. Drop the headers down, it would be 1260s, 1270s.
Exactly how John won these trophies back in the day.
If you were a class winner, you could either pick out a trophy
They go with the car, stay with the car.
or a jacket. And I managed to pick up a few trophies and a few jackets.
Over a dozen trophies and at least 4 jackets. Okay, John, time to earn those trophies again.
Come on, John.
I think he needs to burn some rubber.
Oh, Lord.
Get in that car and fire it up.
I'm getting excited here now. Oh, yeah. I'm ready.
What do we have there, John?
Oh, that's a set of the original keys. And the jacket. That's the original tag. I don't remember the wheel being thin like this. The ones that we have now are so much thicker. They're padded there. I was afraid of this car for the first month that I had the thing. With those skinny tires on the back, it was just about impossible to pull out without squealing the rubber a little bit.
Our trip down the strip would have to wait. Doug's fear was damaging the car ahead of its first show. Look at those Doug headers, painted white, and that Chevrolet orange intake manifold. Every ground-up restoration demands a time of show and tell.
This is the way it should have been. That thing is just beautiful.
Verification from the original owner, and this was the car's unveiling. Kudos to Frank Arone, and then rebuilding the 427.
Dave's the mastermind behind the motor.
Everything's correct on it, carburetor, intake, cam, lifters, bow tie performance and restoration. It's almost Ohio.
And that's all stock, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd made me promise you that you wanted it restored in 2 years, and I wanted to keep good on my promise, and Frank was able to make that happen. From start to finish, you've been a part of it with every question we've had, every time I've annoyed you of, John, what about this? And John, what about that? And I want you to be a part of this going forward, and it's always going to be your car.
Time to load up and drive over to Cannonsburg, Pennsylvania, about 70 miles, to Yenko Chevrolet. But our first stop was not at Yenko. This is where John picked up his brand new Yenko Camaro. A BP gas station today. In 1968, this was a Sunoco service station.
The Sunoco station was doing the small stuff.
All that is gone today. I don't know why.
They'd do the tire swaps, they'd do exhaust system swaps, they'd do header installs, but the transplants were done at Yenko.
And a bag of chips.
Well, this is where you picked it up?
Yes. There were 3 bays here. The car was sitting in one of the bays. I don't remember which one it was.
But right here in front of us, right here,
The mechanic here pulled the thing out there. Ron Lane got in the driver's seat. I was riding shotgun, Dad in the back. Went down the road here, and he said, well, the road's not officially open, but we can go up there anyhow. So we go up there, and the next thing you know, he's going 110 miles up the road.
50 years, things change. I know. What was Yenko Chevrolet going to look like 2 miles up the road at 575 West Pike Street? The rain was light as we continued our pilgrimage to Yenko Chevrolet that looked like this in the 1960s. What would it look like today? We understand the building's still there, but Yenko moved to another location in the early 70s. And here's the building, October 26th, 2019. The old showroom looks intact. And what better place to display and show a Yenko Camaro? I could see some old motorcycles inside.
You ought to buy this and restore it, and you could keep your Yenkos down here, and I could manage it for you.
Come over and
Be the caretaker.
yes.
Okay, so here's the current building and then the original building with the signage.
That'd be a tough job, but somebody'd have to do it. You know.
Here's the guy we want to meet right there. Warren, how are you?
Hey,
Warren, Doug Perry.
Warren worked for Yenko from 1965 to 1971. He led us on a tour of the exterior of the old building.
Salesman, they lurked inside of this door here. It goes up to the upper offices here where Don Yenko and Don May hung out up here.
Don Yenko, famous race car driver, best known for creating the Yenko Camaro. Donna Mae Mims, famous race car driver and executive secretary at Yenko Chevrolet.
She was an intimidator. Really? And if you've seen her coming, if she could catch you, she was going to go around you one way or another, you know?
Pink lady.
Yeah, she was really special.
As is this building, which as I walked, I imagined what a great center for the celebration of the cars and the people that make up Yenko history, like John Weaver.
This lot was just filled with Z28s. There must have been 50, 75 of them there. The whole way back here. The car that I ended up buying was sitting back here on this concrete under a tarp.
Matt Barzak helps extract the Yenko Camaro, now restored and on a glorious day in western Pennsylvania. Insert car on road.
Just use the emergency brake a little bit.
I'm back here too, so.
We got
It ain't going to take off back.
For our Hot Rod magazine photo shoot. Frank Arone and Matt Lemire on the front.
That's the first time this car's seen daylight.
One of one big block Camaros with Cal Plenum induction.
Put it in park, Beck.
Electric windows.
Hey, Beck, when you go in, that way a little bit as we push you in.
I don't like this.
Are you nervous?
Yeah.
Why?
Putting this into that?
I thought the Night Rider was going to back out.
Ready? Go.
Straight.
Got tougher or what?
We hit the gym before
I was going to say, hit the gym. We don't need to go to the gym moving this stuff around.
I know when I had it down there for servicing one time, Don took me for a ride. He asked me how I liked the car. He wanted to know if he could go for a ride in it. I said, well, sure. And he said, well, can I drive? I said, well, yes. And I'll tell you, we weren't out of the lot yet, though. He had that thing fishtailing going out of the lot there. We're going down the road 80 to 90 mile an hour. And I just kept thinking, gee, what'd I get myself into here? And one of the last things he told me, he said, I really love these cars there. He said that I'm lucky that that's the last car that didn't have all the smog equipment on it. And he couldn't build them that way anymore.